This video is brought to you by Grandeur Warranty, your #1 online source for factory-backed extended warranties in the country.
Yes, it's finally time to take the newly redesigned 2025 Ford Expedition on a first drive. And in this video, I'll show you and tell you everything about it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the good stuff. First of all, the size of the new Expedition is about the same as it was before. So if you're used to the older one, you'll like this one as well. Let's take a look at style. In my personal opinion, the style is also really great. What you see here is the King Ranch edition of the Expedition, and this grille accent and the way it looks with the new headlamps and the color choice, the two-tone. I think it looks really sharp. Spells out Expedition right here on the hood, and the wheel design and everything is really tied well together. Let me know what you think. Do you like this new design or maybe not? These two-tone wheels are actually a 22-inch wheel, and it's a 275/50 R22, which means it's just under 33 inches in diameter. Here's something that's bad, not so good. The steering wheel is new, but it's hard for me to get used to using it for tight maneuvers. So I'm trying to, well, maybe I can do something like this, but I don't feel a lot of control like I would with a more traditional steering wheel, because the steering wheel is a little bit smaller. It offers me better visibility to my screens and also my knees, but the way it's designed, it's a little bit strange, and I'm not in love with it. I would have to do a lot of switching of hands to feel like I'm in control. Even though Ford says this vehicle is basically all new, the powertrain is largely unchanged because it's still a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6. The power levels are the same as before. It starts out with 400 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque, and then the high-output version of the engine is 440 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque with a 10-speed automatic with both versions. But they massaged the software of this engine to make it more emissions friendly and as efficient as possible. Let me show you how it accelerates. Well, let's see how quick it is. I put it in sport mode. It automatically puts me in all-wheel drive, and now I can turn off my traction control system, brake torque it. There's a little bit of sound augmentation, and 60. So with the 400 horsepower engine, it's not gonna completely blow you away. It does weigh about, 6,300 pounds, especially in this King Ranch edition I'm driving in right now. But it's still pretty quick. Do I wish it had a V8? Well, the V8, depending on the elevation, probably would be a little bit slower, but would sound quite a bit better, I think. So yes, I do wish a 5-liter would be here, but it's not. So how does it handle? What is the suspension like? Well, it's pretty good. I am actually enjoying it quite a lot. On a major interstate, it's a cruiser, especially the long wheelbase Max edition I was driving before. Just really nice, just really comfortable. And when it gets a little twisty, especially in sport mode, it kind of seems to shrink around me a little bit. So it's not a sports SUV or a sports sedan, but it's pretty nice to drive. This shorter wheelbase version of the Expedition has a 23.2 gallon fuel tank, and the efficiency numbers are still pretty good. The four-wheel drive version of the Expedition is rated at 22 MPG on the highway, and the two-wheel drive version is rated at 24. But I was driving a 4x4 Max long wheelbase version of the base Expedition, and here's the efficiency I saw. I think there's a lot of good and also not so good in this screen. First, the good. It's nice and big. 13.2 inches here, 24 inches up there. Now, not so good. Let me show you my trip meter. First of all, for some reason my trip meter is all the way over here. And then also to reset it, it's not super obvious. I do have to click these 3 buttons and then I can reset. So it's actually kind of hidden within a couple of levels. So that's not my favorite thing of all. But you could use this panel, for example, weather, and now the weather shows up there. So basically you're using this widget selector to throw that application up here. So let me throw my trip meter. And I'm actually doing, after about 6 miles on this leg, 21.2 mpg, and I've seen as much as 22 mpg. So this big SUV actually does on the highway what the sticker says it would do. 22 for a 4-wheel drive Expedition and 24 mpg for a 2-wheel drive. I haven't tested the 2-wheel drive yet, and I also didn't go to a fuel station to verify this, but it seems like the number shown is pretty accurate. All right, so I completed about 58 miles on this leg of the journey, and look at this. It says 24.6 mpg in this 4-wheel drive Expedition Max. So this is a long wheelbase, fairly heavy vehicle, not fully optioned. It's not a King Ranch, it's just an active, a little bit more simple. But if that's true, that's quite impressive for a big and heavy vehicle like this.
Yeah, so that efficiency number is pretty good. And another thing I think that's great is the utility of this new Expedition, because it comes with a split tailgate. And you can use, of course, your key to open it. You can use a button to open it. There's a button inside to open it. And you could sit over here. I love it. You can be protected from the sun or maybe a little bit of drizzle. And also the cargo volume. Maybe it's not the best in the class, but here's a good example. We have 2 carry-on bags, 2 backpacks, and I can kind of stack them in different ways. But I could put maybe a little bit more stuff in here. I could close this up so this stuff doesn't fall out as soon as I open the top half. And then, of course, I can fold down the seats. One touch of a button right here. And if you're carrying 4 or 5 people in here, you could expand this in a very big way. And now you have lots of space. And the 3rd row seat is actually let me show you that, a 40-20 40 split. So this midsection also folds down independently, which is kind of unique. Not many vehicles, not many SUVs in this category offer this. But you could fold this down and have flexibility. You could put the long items like skis, maybe fishing poles in here, and still have 6 seats available to you. Although this Expedition is a little bit expensive than some others, you want to have the peace of mind and know that you're protected. So please check out GrangerWarranty.com. It's a factory-backed extended warranty, so you know that certified parts are used to repair your vehicle at certified locations, so the work is done right, and you're protected for the long haul with your powertrain and your electronics. Another part of utility is, of course, payload and towing. This 4x4 King Ranch, which is loaded with many options, still has pretty good payload, 1360. So you can put a few people in here and also pull a trailer. Yeah, you can pull something like that ski boat you can see behind me, but you have to be careful when selecting your Expedition for the trailer that you may have, because if you have a 2-wheel drive brand new Expedition, has a different rear axle ratio and a couple of other items that lowers its towing ability. So it's between about 6,000 pounds on the lowest end and 9,600 pounds for the top end with a heavy duty towing package and 4-wheel drive. So you just have to be a little bit careful when selecting your vehicle for towing purposes. But 9,600 pounds of towing is a lot. It's almost class leading. Not quite. Jeep Wagoneer has a 10,000 pound tow rating. There's also this new handy dandy shelf that turns into a table or a seat back, but I just noticed it's a 35 pound weight capacity limit. So if you have lots of heavy bags, they're not supposed to be riding up high. They can ride under here, and then you can put something light up here, and so items don't roll out. But also, you could do something like this. Or even like this as a seat back. The interior is basically new, especially up here, and there's a lot of stuff I love and also a couple of things I really dislike about it. Powering up the EcoBoost engine, here's how the new Expedition comes to life. The overall layout of the dashboard and the interior design I really like. Ford says this is kind of like supposed to resemble your living room with a sound bar, a little bit of maybe a coffee table here, and the big screens. And I think they kind of nailed it, specifically with some of the materials, like in this King Ranch, the wood, the metal finish. It says Expedition here in kind of a tasteful way, I think. Here's your transmission shifter, which I actually don't mind. It is a dial, but I think it's a little bit better than Piano Keys transmission shifter. Here's your volume knob and some other features on this side, including traction control, cameras, and hill descent control right there. There's no physical headlamp switch on the new Expedition, but it's right here on the screen. So you could select it from daytime running lights, automatic, full on, or no lights at all. So yes, so this is not super great, but with Ford and many other vehicles, you can control some of these features now via remote, like your phone app. So there's other different ways of controlling lights. I'm just not a huge fan of having a digital control right here. I just want some sort of a physical switch. And by the way, the brights are still on this stock. So the bright control is still here along with wipers. I just wish there was another physical switch for the headlamps. I think the center console is also very well done. This is a great thing. And it has this new feature, which is a slide feature to reveal some storage down below, which is kind of hidden, and to protect some of your valuables right there. And then you can close it. General Motors has a very similar feature with their center console in their Tahoe, Suburban, Yukons, and some other vehicles. I think it's very handy. I don't know if you can tell, but there is ambient lighting right here underneath. But the reason why I'm pointing this out to you now outside is because it turns red when you open the door, and when you close it, it goes to whatever color you selected on the inside, maybe blue or some other color. And I think this is for safety, because let's say you're on the side of a road, and you open the door, people behind you at night will see something red. So it's just another way to alert somebody. All right, let's get into the second row. This is equipped with captain chairs in the back, and it's really comfy. I love how big these armrests are. Almost feels like a lazy boy chair. This console is pushed all the way back. Of course, you could also kind of get it pushed forward, but actually I kind of like this because it's easier to reach. A water bottle. Here there is also USB-C charging in the seat ahead of you, and you can put your device right here like this, your iPad, maybe your phone, and actually watch a little video as you're driving in the back seat. You also have your own climate control system here with heated rear seats, but no massage. If you really needed massage in the front or the rear, you can also look at the Lincoln Navigator, the new one. That one is more expensive, but it has a lot more very luxurious features. Here's how Blue Cruise works. On the left of the steering wheel, you just press this button. You can disable the system or re-enable it. And it actually comes on very, very quickly, and the blue symbol means it's active. It says hands-free. And this is Blue Cruise 1.4, which is the latest version of their hands-free driving system. But I do have to keep my eyes on the road and pay attention. There is a monitor here that watches my eyes, but they improved several things. They improved lane tracing, so it's just steady and true
Oh, hey, look, there's another new Expedition on this first drive event. That said, it's a Platinum. But right now I'm sitting inside of an Active. So Expedition Active is basically the basic trim, the most affordable trim of the new Expedition. But it still has this option to have Blue Cruise. And you know what? I think they improved it quite a bit. Maybe it's not as great. I would rate this at like 98%, and maybe 100% would be the General Motors Super Cruise system. This does have lane change assist, so I can go like this and it'll change lanes for me. And when I use my blinker, let me accelerate a little bit. When I use my blinker, there is a camera view shows up next to me, and I can use it while using Blue Cruise. So, and Ford says they've improved the amount of time I can spend hands-free. And over the last about 50 miles of driving here on the highways, I could see that. It doesn't yell at me as often as the first version 1.0 did. It stays a little bit more true. It moves over for semi-trucks or people encroaching on my lane. So this is a big improvement, but maybe it's not quite as perfect because I cannot tow with Blue Cruise on like I can in GM, and this won't change lanes for me. I have to ask for a lane change.
At this event, I didn't get a chance to drive the Expedition with 24-inch wheels, but that's available as well. But with the 20s and the 22s I've tried, as you saw right there, and you heard me say, it drives really nice, very comfortable, also pretty confident in twisty roads as well. So a lot of goodness there. So not a lot of bad. I did some nitpicking like you saw, lots of good stuff. But now a little bit of an ugly thing is the starting price, which is quite a bit higher from where it was in the previous iteration of the Expedition. Now it starts at $63,995, including destination charges for a two-wheel drive short wheelbase. Now this one is a King Ranch, which is almost near the very top of the lineup. With a few options you can get it there. This one is around $84,000. And those prices are also a little bit higher to where the Chevy Tahoe is and the Chevy Suburban are. So you just have to ask yourself, do you like more standard horsepower because this offers 400 versus 355 in the standard V8 in the Tahoe? Do you prefer a V8? Do you prefer a turbocharged engine like this with a lot more torque? And also, do you like the features? So that's kind of where it is for the first drive. Come back to oldtfl.com for everything automotive in one place. Also, we'll have an off-road video over there of the new Expedition Tremor going off-road.